Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Village Board of Trustees Workshop Meeting. Today is Monday, November 30th. It is now 7:05 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And once again, let us remain standing and think about our servicemen and women during the upcoming holiday seasons, serving our country. Thank you. You may have a seat. Okay, a roll call vote. Trustee Barone?
Present.
Present. Trustee Alpert?
Present.
Trustee Corrigan?
Present.
Trustee Girard?
Present.
And here in the office is myself and the village clerk, Amy Paffenroth. Also online is village attorney Rob Magrino, and the trustee-elect Fred Soberman is with us this evening. Welcome.
Welcome, Fred.
And Richard Glickel is also on. Okay. The upcoming meetings, the village reorganization meeting is scheduled for Monday, December 7th at 7 p.m. with a regular meeting of the Village Board of Trustees immediately following. A workshop meeting is scheduled for Monday, December 28th, 2020. Does anyone have a conflict with that since it's Christmas week?
I might.
Yes, I would like to see if the board is amenable to December 21st. Monday, December 21st.
I'd rather the 28th.
I'd rather the 28th of those two. Because things get really busy right before Christmas around my work.
That's a tough day. Mr. Barone?
I can do the 28th. I can
Okay,
do the
so we'll
21st.
leave. Okay, so we'll leave the meeting at the 28th.
Sorry, Chuck, I was laughing at your eyebrows there.
Oh, you noticed?
Okay, the fire department update. Chief Coffer just responded to a fire call. He asked me to relay a motion for the acceptance of Edison Chikazaria, an over 18-year-old new member. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Girard.
Well, we could bring him in on Monday. I'm sorry. That was for discussion.
Oh, okay.
So we'll talk about that. We'll make that motion on Monday. Okay, next up is Culture and Recreation. Miss Cathy Mills.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi,
Hi,
Cathy.
Cathy.
A few things that we have coming up. We have our chair exercise classes inside the community center on Mondays and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. We've got chair yoga on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10. We have Zoom chair yoga on Fridays at 10 a.m. We've got evening yoga for adults. That was a 5-week program that turned into a 3-week program over at the community center in the evenings. Tonight is the last one. It started at 6:30 tonight. It was great response. People were thrilled to go out and do yoga in the evenings. So tonight again is the last one of that for now. We have 3 events coming up this weekend that we're part of. The holiday lighting at Avon Park. For the board, I didn't get a chance to start sending all the dates and information out for this weekend. I did a save the date, but this Friday at the gazebo, we're going to turn on the holiday lights. So we're going to start the season this Friday at 5 p.m. So board members, if you are available, we'd love to have you there and turn on the lights. On Saturday, Suffern Fire Department will be doing their, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Cathy. What time is that?
For Friday night?
Yeah.
5 p.m.
Perfect. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, that's okay. On Saturday, the Suffern Fire Department is going to have the holiday drive-by parade. As with everything this year, things are changed, but this will be a drive-by. They're thrilled to be going to the neighborhoods and seeing the families, seeing the kids. So the fire department will get the route of where they're going up on their website, on their Facebook page. Clearly tonight is not a good night for them to do the Facebook, but they said they're going to get it up on the Facebook page. So people are thrilled. It's going to be a way to celebrate without having crowds, and the fire department's going to lead the parade. DPW is going to have a truck in the parade. Recreation will be part of it, maybe not in the parade, but before and after. And then the Suffern Police Department is going to have the toy drive as the end of the parade to help be able to do a drive-by toy drive pickup. You know, this year has been different with everything with the toy drive, so they're going to be stopping by the houses as the route goes by. So I don't know if Andy might speak about that more when he comes on, but you know, it's been a great experience working with the police department with that this season. So at 4:30 on Saturday, the drive-by will begin. It will be leaving from Avon Park, and then it will be going towards different neighborhoods. And again, look on the Suffern Fire Department Facebook page for the route that they're going to be taking. They're trying to do this so people don't have to wait out in the cold the entire time. They'll see where the trucks are, and that way they'll know where they're near, so they can come out and greet the fire trucks. It'll be a nice evening to see them all lit up and visiting our neighborhoods. So that's Saturday. And then on Sunday, we will be having the Pearl Harbor ceremony. So that's Sunday, December 6th at 2 p.m. In the past, we've always had this event in the auditorium. Due to so many restrictions this year, we won't have it in the auditorium, but we're going to have it outside at Soldiers Monument at 2 p.m. We are really striving to make this a special year because our Pearl Harbor survivor, Mr. Glickel, is going to be 100 years old on January 1st. So he's an amazing man throughout the county. He lives over in Westchester, but part of New York State. He's very well known. He is so thrilled that Suffern always celebrates or commemorates Pearl Harbor, and he will be there. So he'll be at the ceremony on Sunday. So we hope this was an invite only just because we kept the numbers down. So board members, if you are available on Sunday at 2 p.m., we are going to have it outside. The alternative is going to be inside at the community center, but Mr. Glickel is willing to brave the weather. So we're hoping that we're going to remain outside. So that's our plan for Sunday. A few other small things that are going on. Connor School, you know, they haven't been able to do events outside their school. They have asked to use Leo Leiden, the parking lot, to do a coat drive. So basically people can stop by Leo Leiden on December 12th and drop off coats. So they will have a truck outside. Nothing is going inside the Leo Leiden building. It will be collected, given to those who need it. And it's just a nice location for them to be able to do this fundraiser. So they thank everybody for letting them use Leo Leiden. Holiday activities that we have coming up for the month of December. We have a coloring contest for children. We have that right now on the electronic backpack for Connor School. We have it on our village website. And it's just something for kids to get involved with. We like seeing their artwork. They've always done it for the Easter holidays and for the other holidays, but we figured for winter, we wanted to do a winter holiday coloring contest. So we're starting to get responses back for that. We just found out, Elaine just told me today, that the December 18th is Ugly Sweater Day. I don't know if everyone knew that. There's a bit of trivia for today. Ugly Sweater Day is December 18th. So we're going to do an ugly sweater contest for village residents, and we'll have people send in pictures just to say, you know, see what the most creative ugly sweater is. So we're going to do a contest for that. So it's just something to try to involve people. And then we've been working with the chamber on Zoom meetings with decorating downtown. DPW has done a phenomenal job of decorating the poles and decorating the street and decorating the parks. And the chamber has been working very, very well with their shop owners to get the windows decorated this season. They're going to do a window decorating contest, and that's going to be coming up in the next week or so. So you'll start to see the village vibrant, you know, people excited to be out to see the wonderful colors, and just a happy season. We're just trying to make sure people see that the village is trying, and we've got a lot of activities that weren't happening this year, but just having a vibrant downtown is important at this time of the season. And then again, the toy drive for the Suffern Police Department is ongoing. There's boxes downstairs in Village Hall, and the two DARE officer, or dot officers, I'm sorry, the two officers in the police department are doing a phenomenal job of getting the word out. So Recreation is thrilled to be working and helping them with that, and just being part of it. It's a great thing for the village, for people to do it, for the police department. So that is it. I just wanted to wish Mr. Soberman congratulations. We all look forward to working with you. And Paul, again, good luck to you for your future endeavors. It's been very nice been working with you.
Thank you, Kath. I had a question for the board and also to you, Cathy. How does everybody feel about continuing doing rec activities in the community center, given the extreme rise in COVID cases and hospitalizations? And I just want to get everybody's sense. I'm personally a little bit concerned about it.
Right. Do you want me to answer, Paul, or did you want the board?
Any of you? Yes, please include. I'm including you though. Yeah.
Okay. So the only activities that we've been doing are the exercise classes. The numbers have been very low. We've been trying, people come in, they take that questionnaire if they've been exposed or if they've been, if they've had contact with anybody with COVID. So they do have a sign-in sheet when they go in. They have been signing that. The most amount of people that we've had in the center at any time is 20. So that's a consideration, but I do obviously look, to your guidance of what you all say, what you think about the center.
Are they wearing masks?
Yes, everybody that's in the center is wearing masks.
Okay.
Yes.
I kind of feel 20 is a lot.
I'm sorry?
I kind of feel 20 is a lot. I know Mark Stark went in and measured everything.
Yes.
What was his opinion on numbers in there?
I don't know his opinion, but he gave us numbers of how many people could be inside the community center. We were asked to find out how many people could be inside. I don't have it in front of me now, Joe. I apologize. Actually, I do have it on the phone. So they did give us an updated list of how many people can be in the center.
Cathy, when people are in the center and they do have their masks on,
Yes.
and there's 20 of them in there, how far apart are they?
They're at least 6 feet, and we had gotten some of these little markers. It says 6 feet apart from DPW, and we physically put them around the chairs. So when somebody comes in to do an exercise class, their seats are already placed on those 6 feet little markers. So we do, Nancy and Elaine, who are the instructors over there, they do a great job of making sure people are 6 feet apart. So they do, that is worked every time people come in the center. The center is cleaned after people leave, and then DPW also sanitizes. So before the next group goes in, they do sanitize.
Are we still a yellow zone? Does anybody know?
Yeah, we are.
So what is the max for a yellow zone in terms of gatherings is what, 25 indoors
25.
or?
Yes.
So we have 20 up to 20 people coming for a class, and who else is there? You're there, Elaine's there. Who's there?
I wouldn't be. So for a class that has 20, for example, that's our yoga class, which is the biggest of the classes. So it would be the 20 participants plus Nancy, so that would be 21. The other class we have is chair exercise, that's less. So I am not there again, and Elaine would be there. So it's however many participants, which it's never been up to 20, plus her. So, 16, 17, 18 for the chair exercise.
And any concerns from your staff, Nancy or Elaine, how comfortable they are being in that kind of a situation on a daily basis?
They haven't told me that they are uncomfortable with it. They seem to be fine with it, to be honest. Again, they're the same thing. They make sure that people are using their sanitizers, making sure they're clean. The seniors that are coming out for these classes, they are thriving with them. They like to have exercise. They like the socialization.
Sure.
So with the numbers being smaller, it's a bonus to be able to have them there. But I know, I haven't heard from Elaine and Nancy that they're uncomfortable with being part of the classes.
Okay. Thanks.
Right. All right, thank you, Kathy.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, Kathy. I just
That's
have
okay.
one more question.
Sure.
So I know that Recreation did all the decorating with DPW, or actually the street department, that I'm not quite sure exactly what group helped you guys out so greatly. And the decorations look quite nice. Honestly,
do.
they do.
Thank you.
Just a question. Are we going to be putting the nativity set and the Kwanzaa and also the menorah this year?
Yes, that goes in front of the community center, yes. I'm
in
sorry,
front of
Village Hall, my apologies. Yes.
Oh, okay. So that
yeah,
will be placed.
It absolutely is. So we have the Advent wreath out there right now because Advent started yesterday. But
Yeah.
the menorah is going to be up.
Okay.
And the nativity set will be going in there. I think they're making they're cleaning it up right now because it's an
Yeah.
old nativity set.
Yeah, I know.
Yes,
I know.
that will definitely be going in front of Village Hall as it always has been.
Okay, I just wasn't sure.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, that's not being
Okay.
changed up this year. That's definitely happening.
And just a
Perfect.
reminder, Hanukkah's in about a week, a little over a week.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, they definitely will be putting up the menorah. They probably, to be honest, and Charles can answer for it when Charles comes on. They probably would have done it today, but with the weather,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was just not going to happen today. So
Menorah.
I had a feeling it would have gone up today if the weather was nicer.
The menorah is up in front of Village Hall.
Right, but nativity set is not.
Right, okay.
oh, when I walked by, I didn't see it. Well, it was dark. Okay.
Yeah.
When I walked the
It's not
dog,
lit.
it was dark.
It won't be lit until the
No,
8th.
I
Right.
understand it's not lit. I get it.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Kathy.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Chief Loughlin, Suffern Police.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Chief.
Hello, Chief.
Good
The
evening.
month of November, we responded to 634 calls for service. The call types varied from routine to emergency calls. We made multiple arrests, charging individuals with menacing, criminal possession of a weapon, harassment, aggravated harassment, criminal possession of a controlled substance, unlawful possession of marijuana, breaches of peace, aggravated unlicensed operation of a motor vehicle on several different degrees, larceny, criminal possession of stolen property, aggravated assault, and criminal contempt. We also conducted several warrant investigations this month, resulting in multiple arrest and bench warrant executions. On the community policing side of things, as you all know, the police department and PBA do our holiday toy drive every year. As Cathy spoke about earlier, it's begun and is in full swing. The toy drive is crucial, especially this year, to helping out some of our less fortunate families in obtaining toys for their children, who we're told that otherwise some of them may not receive anything for the holiday season. This year's drive is going to have to be a little bit different, and it's obviously more challenging due to the safety restrictions in place for COVID. Sergeants Shinatino and Kiernan have taken the lead on the toy drive for us this year, and so far they've done an excellent job in planning and getting the drive started, while making accommodations to keep our members and the public safe and healthy. We've already held a few events to accept toy donations from the public. One was at Walmart. We also conducted a contactless drop-off for the seniors so they could donate at the community center. It was done sort of like a drive-by. Excuse me. So far, the public has been great. They've been very generous in their donations to the drive, and obviously we'd like to thank them for that. We'd also like to recognize the Round Post Saints 10U hockey team for their large donation to the drive. We'd also be remiss if we didn't thank Cathy Mills in the Recreation Department, as well as Joe Hunt and the DPW for all of their help with the drive, especially this year. We couldn't have gotten where we are without their help so far. Having said that, we'd like to encourage anyone that's in a position to donate to do so. We anticipate our recipient list this year being larger than usual due to the families hit especially hard by COVID-19. We have a few more events planned in the future where the public can donate toys to the drive, including, like Cathy spoke about earlier, We're participating in the fire department Santa Claus drive-by, which is scheduled for next Saturday. We'll have some police department members on a little float in the parade. And we're hoping that families can come out and approach us as we drive by if they wanted to donate toys. We're also considering setting up an Amazon wish list for residents who are not comfortable dropping off toys in person. Through the wish list, they can send toys directly to the police department right from Amazon. This way they don't have to come in contact with anyone. And as always, the public can always bring new unwrapped toys to the police department from now until the holidays. We just ask that they wear their face coverings when they enter the building. That's pretty much all I have for the update.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you for, continuing that great tradition of the toy drive, and thank you, members, for getting out there and having that drive-by senior drop-off. That was great. And the DPW, as you were saying, as well as Recreation, doing a great job for our community.
Yeah, they've been a huge help to us so far.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is the treasurer, Mr. Genito, please.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Today, just as the update, we do have on our list the audited financial reports. They are going to be presented by the auditor in summary, the results of those reports, and that will be presented to the village board at the December 7th meeting. And they will be distributed to the board tomorrow, as well as to our financial advisors for posting on the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board, EMA website. Likewise, we'll be posting them on the village website as we do with all our other financial reports. The other two things that we have for you is one is a resolution to amend the budget to provide for the repair of 2 garbage trucks that we have. Both garbage trucks have some serious repairs to be made to them, and they total $23,000. Now the funding for that, $8,000 is available in the street department budget, and another $15,000 is available in the snow department budget for salt and sand. I've spoken with Joe Hunt, our Supervisor of Public Works, and he indicated that they have plenty of salt in supply, 100%, plus they have whatever they use from the state for the state roads. And with the budget that they have, there's sufficient funds that they can use for these much needed garbage truck repairs. Just so the board is aware, Mr. Hunt went out for written quotes from several vendors for the repair of the one truck in the amount of roughly $11,000 or so. And it ended up that only one company responded. And on the other one, it's pretty much a sole source item because it's parts that go into a particular engine. So there wasn't any competitive bidding or multiple quotes needed there. Anyhow, that is the one resolution that we're going to ask you to adopt on Monday's meeting. The other thing is that, and Steve Alpert had notified the board that the Beth Haverim Shir Shalom is going to contribute some donation money that they received to public safety, first responders in the village of Suffern. And so what we will do with that funding, if the check, of course, the donation has to be received and accepted by the village board. And with that, we'll amend the budgets of the fire and police department equally, splitting the donation in half to each one of them. So that's what we have. If there's any questions, more than happy to answer.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next, Mr. Sawicki, Department of Public Works.
Charles, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Okay, hi, good evening. I'd like to provide an update on a few items. The Wayne Avenue Sidewalk Grant Project has started. The drainage pit has been installed and excavation for the retaining wall has begun. As a follow-up from last month's meeting, I requested 2 proposals for additional odor control measures at the wastewater treatment plant. Should have them within the next week. And Trustee Barone had sent me a contractor contact for the replacement of the cornice. The contractor will be submitting a budget estimate next week.
Great.
That's wonderful news.
Okay.
Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah. Okay, so item B, requesting authorization to solicit bids for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade and modification project contract 1 with a due date of January 21st, 2021 at 3 p.m.
Okay, very good. Okay, anyone have any
Okay,
questions?
that's it.
Good, thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Charles, Charles, where are we on the running of the wastewater treatment plant with JCO? And, you know, we met a while ago with with the mayor, yourself, me, and I'm sorry, Robert, I think it's Robert.
Rob Flores from
Yeah.
Delaware Engineering. I did distribute that for comments. There, weren't any comments. What I think what I would suggest at this point is the two options I see that we have. One would be to send that RFP directly to JCO and see if we could essentially renegotiate and reposition ourselves with the operating contract with JCO. The other option would be to send out that RFP to other wastewater treatment operators and see who else is out there and what type of response we could get from other firms that operate wastewater treatment plants.
Well, one of the major concerns that Mr. Flores had in regards to the operation of the plant is the critical upgrades and modifications to the plant with the operators that are currently in place who help design the modifications and bring the plant back up to speed to some degree. So that's an ongoing discussion that should be, we should look more closely at it with Delaware Engineering, with JCO, with the operators, and with Mr. Sawicki once again.
All right, so I have a question. I'm sorry, Charles, did I miss an email? When you sent the email?
No, it was really, you really only sent that to the members of that meeting. It was, because we had discussed during that meeting to put together an RFP, and I sent it out as a draft to the members, or to the people that were at the meeting only. I didn't send it out to everybody.
Oh, so
however, I certainly could do that. It was really to send it out to get comments. It was a draft, sending out comments from the people from within the meeting.
Yeah, I thought in particular we were looking for comments from Robert, from his perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, so who was in that meeting? Just curious.
Well, it was myself, the mayor, Paul, and Rob Flores from Delaware Engineering.
Okay, perfect.
So what happened where we had some discussion, some general discussion during that meeting, and it was a consensus of the meeting members to put together an RFP, and that's what I did, and I sent it out for their comments. So that's as far as it went.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, and
okay.
I mean, we knew those two options. I mean, yeah, that's what we came out from the meeting. But and I'm not so quick to, necessarily bid it out and potentially bring somebody else in there when we've got all this work that's going to be done. So I agree with you saying, Ed, but we can, in the interim, we know that our needs have changed. We know that upgrades have been made. We're paying $27,000 a month for their services. We know that we're not really we're not really getting the staffing for that really justifies that number. And we know that at the time we negotiated that number, we had urgent needs, which we have a much better handle on now, so that we felt like we were in position to reduce the rate with JCO in the interim while we go ahead and do this upgrade work and put a bid out that would include JCO. You know, I don't know why we're sitting on this. This is the most expensive contract we have with a third party. It's an awful lot of money to the taxpayers. Obviously, I'm going out, and I think one of the trustees should probably pick up on this, just to help work with Charles and the mayor and to help drive this to get some kind of a better rate on this for running the treatment plant, because the plant runs better now, and we don't need some of the things that we are asking them to provide, which could save money.
I want
Right,
to,
as we discussed, yeah, right, and there's nothing wrong with saving money or trying to save money, but as we discussed in regards to with Delaware Engineering and the upgrades and modifications, where they did stress that the need and the necessity for the operators is more important now than before. Even getting the plant back online, which the operators did with our operational excellence program, we're bringing that plant back to life. And now we're going to have to rebuild it once again, that those operators are critical to the upgrades and modifications.
And so is the people that currently work there as well, because they know it as good as the operators. So I think it should be a team effort.
Oh, absolutely. But I beg to differ with you. Then the operators are the operators. They are the experts at the plant. So there is a difference.
Yes, I do understand that, Ed. It is not my first time around the sewer plant. So I would be happy to take that on, Paul, and
All right. I can chat with you separately just to get you caught up Charles pretty much generally described where we left off, but
yeah,
that'd be great.
I probably have some documents from the meeting that I could pass on to you. But Ed, clearly, you look at the contract and look at the requirements that we asked them to do. It's nothing like we're asking them to do now, or what we're gonna ask them to do in the midst of an upgrade. So again, that's all the more reason to revisit it, and let's be clear on what our needs are and have them price it out. And then in the meantime, simultaneously have other candidates price it out as well. And I don't see any issue with that. The contract we have now is essentially obsolete. And we know we're not getting the staffing support that we need there. We know how often the chief operator is there, and we know what kind of input what he's bringing to the table in terms of supporting the operation.
And history has proven that Charles and I work very well together. So I'm sure that we'll fill your shoes, Paul, in the direction that you want it.
so I wanted
They're big shoes. They're big shoes.
I wanted to chime in here. First, I wanted to address Mr. Sawicki. At the last meeting, I had inquired about the misters, and I was told by you that they were online and they were working correctly. In fact, what I learned was that they were not at the time of the meeting, but that Friday they were repaired. I also learned there was an issue with the chemicals were not ordered, or something that were being used up too fast. I've learned a lot of things, and actually I believe, for reasons unknown, the communication between JCO has only gone to the mayor and the village clerk perhaps, but not necessarily to Mr. Sawicki. And in fact, I took a tour of the facility about a week ago and learned that approximately 8 of the steps are offline right now, that we're actually maybe in a worse state than we were before JCO picked up the job.
I don't know if that's a correct statement, but we just have to be very careful here in regards to JCO and the knowledge that they possess, the critical knowledge that they possess in regards to the upgrades and modification in regards to the plan, the development of the plan and the modifications and the EFC financing. That's critical also. These points that they bring to the table, I'm just saying, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying we have to tread very lightly on what we do at the wastewater treatment plant with a $9 million upgrade with the operators that were instrumental.
I'm
in-
going to say,
in
I'm
the-
going to go on record and say that I don't think we need a $9 million upgrade, but we do need a lot of repairs. And I'm going to name some of the things that are wrong right now. Okay. The primary digesters are offline. The gravity thickener is offline. Trickling filter number 2 is offline. Both grit channels operate incorrectly. The diffusers are not installed for 2.5 years. One of the grit channels is offline. There's a delay in ordering VX456 chemicals that are injected in the sludge for dewatering odor control. The sludge feed pump is leaking for screw press number 2. There's sludge daily added over the floor. It's just coming out. It's like a goop. The piston pump number 2 pump digester is offline. So right now the stuff is running straight to the screw press. There's a leaking piston basically, but the piston is there, not having been installed by JCO. I don't know why. Apparently it's been there for 2 years. I can keep going. There's more. I just have a litany of things that are wrong with the plant. And
So
I don't.
I'm sorry. Where did you obtain all this information?
I took a tour of the plant last week. Maybe if you would do the same there.
With the operator?
Wes was there, if that's what you're asking. I saw him reading a newspaper.
I mean, did you get the information from the operator? The operator of record?
Mayor,
chief
there are
operator.
problems. Let's just say there are problems, and I don't believe that JCO is on top of them. And I think
I hear you.
if we're going to be paying $27,000 a month, we need to get more results, or we need to move on to another contractor. I don't believe this contractor is doing a sufficient job for the residents of this village for the money that we're spending.
My
That's my
point.
statement, and I'm done speaking. I'm
Okay,
done speaking about this. Thank you.
my point is that we need to have the operators express these concerns to whomever.
I would like them to be involved in our meetings. I would like to invite the operator to our meeting next Monday. and
He
we can
may
address
be
this.
on right now. I'm not sure if the operator is on.
So, all right, so
Hold on,
here's
let me
what-
just check with the operator. Is the Mr. Genito is Kyle Stemmelon?
I know you just texted him. So here's what I'm gonna say.
What are you talking
All of this could have been avoided, and we could all be on the same page if we would get shared information and be able to understand what's going on in the village.
Okay, is Kyle, Mr. Genito, is Kyle Stemmelon?
You didn't answer me.
You didn't ask a question.
She did. She asked.
Kyle,
you to be more
if you're on,
forthcoming.
there's one person online with a phone ending in 2924. If that is you, Kyle, please raise your hand, or anyone else from JCO.
Because quite frankly, we could be persecuting the wrong people without having any knowledge as usual. So,
Yeah.
I'm not persecuting anyway. All I'm saying.
no,
We've
no,
we've got
I'm
a
putting
contract.
myself.
If we've got a contract with 10 or 12 tasks that we asked them to do based on needs we had over 2 years ago, I bet we go through that list, and I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me, but if
They're
there's
not
2 to
fun.
4 of them that we don't need anymore, we say, you know what, guys, we don't need you to do this anymore. We don't need you to do that anymore. So now give us a price, adjust the price. It's
I
that
agree
simple,
with you.
man.
I agree. I
understand.
agree, Paul.
We definitely
agree.
do not have the same needs today that we had then, and it should be adjusted.
Okay.
I don't know
we'll
why
look
we're
into-
sitting on this. I don't get it.
Okay.
A Galaxy S10 has its hand up.
I'm going to ask them to unmute yourself and identify yourself, please.
Hi, yeah, this is Kyle Steinwell. I'm sorry if that didn't identify me. I'm not particularly well-versed with Zoom. So that was not my intention there. But yes, my name's Kyle Steinwell. I'm the operator down at the sewer plant. I guess if you have any questions, I can answer them. I agree. I do want better communication with everybody. I think that would benefit us in helping you. And you made some very solid points with adjusting, adjusting the contract and doing that. I said from day one, the only thing we want to do with JCO is to best serve what your needs are and to make sure that we're not, that we're working together to give the village of Suffern what it needs in that sewer plant. I noticed there was a couple of things that, were noted to be offline. The primary digester is actually online. I don't know where that information is coming from. It was offline for a while, but it's online now. The second sludge lift pump, or the piston pump, that's new to me. They have been working, and they've been working every day as far as I know. There is a little bit of seepage that occurs with them naturally. That's why they have drains that go back to a floor drain. The rotary low pump that goes to the sludge press is on the docket to get repaired. Unfortunately, I need both of those presses to be running right now until I get a digested sludge pump back in place. That has been delayed yet again by the distributor, which is Wemco. The parts were supposed to be in on the 20th. They're not going to be in now until the 17th. We have been struggling to maintain that composure, but by running those, we've been saving the village a ton of money and having to truck raw sludge out of there because we need to still be able to press that sludge and to maintain our sludge. So what we've done is this in the interim in order to save money and keep that above ground. As far as ordering VX, as soon as I get a notification from the village staff to order it, I have to send up a quote to Charles for PO, submit the request, get the okay, and get that ordered. So I don't know where that's coming from. And the grit chamber does not work, but that was put on hold for the time being. That has been put on hold for the time being because the upgrade was actually going to renovate that entire headworks, which is something that plant's desperately needed because you pay a lot of. That's why this digested sludge pump and the digester mixing pumps, it's all offline because of rags that have been coming into the plant, which are hard to maintain using the equipment that's currently there.
Right.
I hope that all came through.
Oh, Kyle, what about the gravity thickener or the trickling filter number 2?
The gravity thickener is it is offline. I do have to repair a skimmer. It was online up until earlier this month. Then I had a skimmer arm break. I have to repair that. I have not gotten to repair that yet. It is in the garage. And then sorry, what was the other one?
Trickling filter number 2.
Okay, trickling filter number 2 was leveled and is able to be operated. It is not. The arms don't very readily freely move. It doesn't work as well as number 1, but we've been able to meet what we require, which is 85% removal BOD just from one trickling filter. So we've only been running one trickling filter as per our really as per what we deemed necessary to operate for that particular plant. The other one that is on there, you didn't mention, but it is, I wanted to be everyone to be aware. There are 4 trickling filter pumps. They have been leaking from mechanical seals. I have been working with Mike and Charles to get those repaired. I got a PO, I believe, signed, and I've got Rapid Pump and Meter has been awarded that, and they're going to be coming. They were the ones that were able to give us the most comprehensive price to be able to actually pull those apart and repair them. We're hoping that it's just some seals, but it may have to go a little bit more than that. I think that was most of it. If I'm not mistaken.
That's the majority. The bottom line is there are issues, and I feel like the board has been kept in the dark about these issues. I'm not sure if the mayor is aware of them. He may be, but the board has not been in communication with you. I'm very glad that we had this opportunity to speak today.
Oh yeah, no.
And I would
absolutely would love to talk with you. Yeah.
I would like this
Sorry.
to be part of our monthly meetings and our workshops. I think that there should be an update from you as long as you're the operator.
Well, that sounds fantastic. I actually, Rick, I love that input. That keeps us on track and making sure we're doing what we're doing, and that you guys are happy, and that you know, we don't have any sour grapes or any issues there, because at the end of the day, we work for you guys. So that's all I ever wanted. I'm sorry that you felt that way, but
Well, no. I just feel that I'm without information, and I'm getting certainly like basically a dump of information at one time.
okay.
Because there's a lot of things that were down, and you've just confirmed most of them. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
true. It's not just one or two things. There's many things that are offline. I think all
There's
of these,
a couple, yeah.
many of these things are contributing to the smells that I reported at the last meeting that was being.
We believe that's primarily. Oh, I'm talking over you. That's my fault.
That's fine. Go ahead.
We believe that's actually primarily that grit chamber. That is a very good. That I agree with you there. That should go back into operation. I didn't realize how bad these odor complaints had gotten until probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, early this month. And from then we had talked to Charles. We came up with a couple of plans, and I had made a list of a couple of ideas of things to really kind of attack as far as the odors go. Because the first thing that we did actually May 2018 was the last time we got that entire grit chamber completely cleared out. And I do believe I had Aramis go in at one time a couple weeks ago, because we had an odor complaint, and I needed somebody with a trained nose that knows what's going on down there to kind of tell me what they're smelling and what's happening. Because at that point, I'm able to say, okay, that smells like that's influent. Okay, because there's different areas of that plant that are going to smell a little bit different based off of what's happening in them, or if it's occurring or not occurring.
I also personally saw bubbling coming up over. I forgot which process it is. It's a tall building that you walk up spiral steps to get up to the top of it. You would know more than me which building it is.
Oh, that's the digester. That's the primary digester.
Yeah.
The foaming is natural as far as the process starting off. We try to keep the foaming down and mitigate it, but that digester had been off for a number of months now because of Wemco is the pump dealer. They took months to get us it took months to get parts for the one pump that's there.
And
an effort to.
It's not stirring either.
Sorry?
I was led to believe it's not stirring. It's supposed to go around.
Well, that all went. Yeah, that went back on 2 weeks ago. The mixing pump works, and the recycle pump is on. There's 2 pumps in there. One mixes, and one kind of heats it up, puts it through a heat exchanger, and then mixes it again also that way. The way those things work is they have an anaerobic environment. You keep them heated up. You create anaerobic bacteria. When your bacteria start to take off, they do foam. So that's an expected result. Yeah.
Okay, because I was led to believe that may be some of the scent as well. Might be that.
You'll definitely get an odor off of it. I mean, those digesters do have odors. Where I'm not gonna. Yeah. That was one of the areas.
What I could tell you is you were kind enough to give myself and Paul Girard a tour approximately 2 years ago, and the plant was in very good operation at the time. In fact, I think the only thing that was offline at the time that I recall, there was one of the UV systems was being worked on, and I saw the process being worked. And it looked great to see like things were out and worked on. That's the kind of work I do, actually, electronic work. So it was right up my alley. And seeing that getting worked on was great, but I have a feeling that the plant has degenerated to a much lesser place currently. Would you agree with that assessment?
I would disagree. Yeah, I would. There are a couple. I mean, with plants like that, when you have multiple processes that you need to pull out and repair or come back and repair. Now, a lot of the things that have gone in that I've had to repair all went in the same time period, around 2011, 2012. So a lot of that has had to come out and be repaired, and it's all just kind of hitting that part of its life cycle. The 2 recycle pumps had to come out and get repaired. Those went out and were shipped out. There is a activated sludge lift pump that had to come out. That's been repaired. I took that mostly apart to a point. So anytime that I attack any of these things that you've got down there that need to be repaired, I try to get it done myself to save money for you guys. If it gets to a point where that's clearly like it's not, I have the water department come over when Johnny was in. Is this something we can do in house? Is this something we can't do in house?
Right.
Okay. And then if it's something we can't do in house, we pull it, we send it out. The case with that, it's a press feed pump. That I have been talking to a company to get it rebuilt. We'll pull it out to save money, and then they'll rebuild it. It's just I need to get the digested sludge pump back in place before I can remove that one.
Okay.
Otherwise, we won't have the ability to process the sludge. And
Right.
if you guys have seen the bills, if you have to get trucks out of there, you're going to blow that out of the water. So it's a calculated decision to do that. But I understand where you're coming from. You got sludge on the ground. It looks like
And I was
sludge on the ground.
also I was shown that there's an issue with the valves for the settling tanks. Actually, a riser and a valve are damaged.
Yes.
And you can't
Yes.
fix them because of other issues where you can't. I don't know enough about the technology, but apparently they can't even be repaired. So I wasn't sure. And
we pumped that tank down, the primary number one. We pumped that down, and I got in there. We made some scaffolding. We were trying to repair those valves in house. We had a valve all set and ready to go because we have those valves on the shelf back there. But we were unable to get the other valves to hold. So in trying to do that, I had another couple companies in talk about the problem. I had TAM, I had Rapid Pump, and I had Capola come by and look. They all felt the same as I was, that unless we can get these particular tanks bypass pumped and completely offline, that we're unable to get those valves fixed at this time. Now, as part of the upgrade that I'm hoping goes off, we're able to bid and then goes off in the mid spring here. I'm hoping, and this has actually been put on as part of the bid documents, to get that stuff repaired, because that all needs to kind of coincide. We're going to be getting all the bypass pumping, everything in there already.
Mm-hmm. And
So the idea was then, if you're just, I didn't want to spend money twice because the bypass pumping was, $10,000 or $15,000 for 2 weeks or something like that. Pretty expensive stuff.
Now, what about, apparently there's raw wastewater leaking from the pumps in the trickling filter pump station for almost a year. Is that correct?
Those are that's the one that I said you didn't mention that we have on the docket to be fixed by Rapid Pump. That has been awarded a PO. We generated a PO for that.
And trickling filter 2 won't spin. The center bearing is bad.
It will spin. It just doesn't spin very well.
Okay,
but again, as part of the upgrade project, like we got that to a point where we were able to get it to without costing the village a couple $100,000 to, because now you're at a point where you have to remove that entire thing and put it back. And that is actually part of contract 1 that's supposed to be done this spring. We need to do contract 1 in that order, from contract 1 to contract 2, because we need those trickling filters to be working as best as they can, so that we can take the activated sludge system offline one at a time.
So what I was told in the assessment when I looked, that the only things that are perfectly working 100% at this current time, just 2 processes are 100%, and that's aeration basin, and the secondary clarifiers settling tanks. I guess it's 3 things, and UV disinfection. So all 3 of those items
disinfection
are at 100%, which is great, but it seems like a lot of other systems have functional defects.
There are systems that have some functional deficiencies that we're working on fixing, but as far as like the processes that they serve, those are doing okay. So we're riding a line on getting these things fixed in a fashion that makes sense, so you're not taking everything down. Because I wish I could, but I can't just shut one of those tanks down and then be down for a week while somebody fixes it. We got to have a whole plan in place, and that's part of what we've been working with Delaware Engineering to get some of these things back up in place. Because the other issue, you got the primary tank number 2, you've got a flight drive there, That is going to need to be looked at, but we can't isolate that, and we can't isolate it because we can't shut the valve, and we can't shut the valve. We can't shut the valve because we'd have to bypass the entire influent. You got, 1 million gallons a day coming in through there. Again, same time period, 2011, 2012, 2013. That's when these were originally fixed. We have to revisit all of that now.
All right,
All
thank
right,
you.
so
That's what
I have a question, Kyle. So
Yeah.
who has all this communication been going to besides Charles, obviously?
Charles.
So Charles is the only one, the mayor, nobody else knows this?
No, I mean, Charles comes down. We talk pretty often about what we need to do. He knows because I have to submit the POs to him as we're, as we do these repairs. I had a repair project that I sent to Charles and to Mike Genito about what I wanted to use some of the money that we had from previous repair projects. We've been working through that. It just takes a little bit of time. That's all.
Okay, well, that's a great answer because I'm very happy that Charles is in the know and you're working with him closely because I truly believe that he is the man for getting everything done and knowing how to work it. So my question.
Charles. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So
Charles
my
has
question
been
would be.
helpful. Yeah.
Oh no, he's amazing.
Mhm.
I've worked with him many times. So my question is, could we possibly, as a board, get better communication from JCO? Like, what do you think would be reasonable?
I would love to do this with you guys like once a month if that's what you want to do. I have absolutely no issues doing that, especially if it's Zoom. I can do it from wherever.
Okay, so what are your, so just curious, what are your hours when you're down at the plant?
I get there around 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:30, and then I try to stay there till 3:30 or so. Sometimes it's 4:30, sometimes it's no earlier than 3:30. So 4:30, 5 o'clock sometimes. None of that's out of the question. Whatever needs to be done that day.
Okay, perfect. Just so that we know what, and that's like Monday through Friday or?
Monday through Friday. I mean, I came in on Easter Sunday with Derek because we had a generator issue, which we're still working through.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we came in on Easter Sunday and Gentech came in and they got us up and running again a little bit. That was a tough one, but yeah, I mean, I'm always, so when there's an alarm call, it comes to me and I give it to whoever of the village staff is on call. There have been a couple of times where I've come down myself if something we aren't able to get something. There isn't too many times where that we've had to call anyone else out emergency wise after hours. But I know, I mean, Aramis just with this rain, Aramis was just down there I think I called him at just before this meeting. So 6:45 or so, we had, a high flow. The flow comes in, it gets the rags, get built up on the bar screen, and then the alarm goes off. That's all stuff that's supposed to be taken care of with the automatic bar screens and this plant upgrade. That's been our primary focus, is that make sure that this plant upgrade goes through properly. Just to touch on that while I'm here, I did hear that we didn't think that we needed a $9 million plant upgrade. This plant upgrade that we're looking at, there was a plug flow. There was a plug flow one in the works that was looking at being like 5 million or 6 million, and it kept ballooning. That one wasn't even going to work. You were going to wind up with the same problems that you had previously. This plant upgrade is more holistic and looks at your headworks units, your trickling filters, which are a very good unit. They're very cost efficient for doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Originally, they were going to go away. We decided to keep them after doing work with Delaware. And then your activated sludge unit, which is actually the primary unit that causes any of the issues that we have down there, just because of the nature of its design. That has to go away. That we get all those parts machined. We have to keep an inventory of them. Joe and his guy Joe McAtee make some of the parts for us on site, and then I have to get other parts machined, gears and drive shafts, and luckily you got Johnny and you got Steve, a wonderful water department down there, because they have to rebuild that, and I go out there and work with them. But they showed me how they have to rebuild that. That is quite a system you got there. That needs to go away. No ifs, ands, or buts on that. And then as part of that, also we're looking at flood resiliency, which doesn't exist at that plant right now. So that is also being addressed, as well as some odor concerns that we know that there's some odors. We've identified the areas that we believe they're coming from, and we're working towards rectifying them.
Well, I will say from living in downtown, it has been pretty bad lately. And I live probably about a good mile. So
Is it late?
has,
So is it lately, or is it?
in the last
always,
last 2 to 3 months. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that we have a solution that'll at least rectify some of that, which is to pump out those the grit chambers that are not acting properly. No.
So here's what I'm gonna say. Do you have all of our emails?
I'm sure I have most of them. I'm sure that I can get the rest, and I know Charles will give them to me if you need.
Perfect. So I would highly suggest that, just so the board is all on the same page and there's not just, misinformation given out, that perhaps maybe you can communicate with us, and then, we can go further.
Yeah. What kind of communication were you looking for besides this type of meeting? You want just anything to do, or a weekly update,
throughout the month, if something breaks down, or if you feel there's going to be a large smell, all of us are walking all over the place. So I know Paul, Carl, myself, and, people, talk to us on a regular basis, and it would be nice for all of us to have kind of an answer and a solution when we're talking to people that are our neighbors, our friends, whatever. Okay. So
I hear you. That does make,
So if you want to share a number, then I will, gladly pass it out, or however you want to coordinate it. Ed, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, let's orchestrate this through Charles Sawicki's office. So Kyle, please contact Charles, then we'll disseminate information from, of course, it will be vetted by the operator through Charles and then disseminated. That will be
it's going to go through Charles and then to the rest of the board.
Yeah, let Charles review what the operators are putting out there. Absolutely.
So to Steve's point, should we have Charles include? I say we. It's not going to be we inclusive of me after this, but is there going to be inclusion in maybe Charles's update to specifically talk about what's going on in the wastewater treatment plant at the workshops?
Sure,
I'll be a part of that. How's that going to work?
That would be a great idea. We could have Kyle participate along with Charles. They could work that out before the workshop. If Charles feels that Kyle is needed to explain the detail behind the operation, we'll bring in Kyle and Charles at the same time.
I'm more than happy to do that. That would actually delight me, because I really, really want everyone to be on the same page with this, because you guys got a lot going on down there, and this is really important to myself personally, because that's just the way I am. But it's important for you guys that live down there that this gets done right, and we're trying to make sure that happens. That's all that I can say.
Agreed.
I think the rain finally caught up to me.
All right. Good. Let's see.
But again, I'm sorry, Ed, but I'll reiterate this. But if any of the trustees ever have any questions or anything like that, I'm more than happy to answer them or write a letter or an email. I'm always reachable. I work for you guys, so I want to make that clear.
What do we have? I guess we have your email address on file.
I believe you do. Yeah. And again, I don't have a problem with disseminating it. It's just it's hard for me to do right now, but I could. So I'll get everyone's email from Charles, I guess, and you guys can have my emails for questions, and then we'll go that way. Whatever the mayor wants us, or however that works for you guys. We're more than happy to
orchestrate that through Charles, and then we'll get the email addresses, and they'll have the appropriate contacts, and then any information that is put out there will be CC'd to all.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Charles, I think you were
Yeah.
still on. Was that right?
Sorry, Charles.
Yeah, I believe I'm done. Is there any other questions?
Oh, I think.
Lord knows.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, and
Okay.
we still should talk costs and see what opportunities there. But Steve, thanks for sharing all that detail. Thanks for getting down to the plant and having those conversations. That was very helpful for this discussion.
actually, while Charles is still on the line, is there any status on the still open positions in your department that are funded that are not vacant? There's nobody in working in those right now, vacant?
I actually had some discussion today. I haven't seen them firsthand, but I've been made aware that we may have 2 candidates. And once I get some information, maybe as early as tomorrow, I'll set up interviews and we'll see how that plays out.
That'd be great.
And we just brought a new staff member on the street department, correct, Charles?
Yes. That was last month.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Charles.
Okay. Trustees update.
I have a few different things, but I don't know if anyone wants to go first.
You're good.
So, all right, one thing I wanted to bring up, actually, Charles, you still on the line? Stay for 1 second.
Yes.
I received an email, I think you might have received it as well, from Sandy Stead. She basically wants to make sure that we put out a bid request for the tree work that needs to be done while the funding is there, and that the bid should go out in December so that the work can get done at the right time, by the time the bids come back and by the time, they can be evaluated and all that sort of stuff. I want to see where we stand on the tree work bids at this point.
Well, we do have, in terms of pruning, we do have up through March to get pruning, any pruning done. I haven't had the opportunity to spend any time with that at this point. And I really, what I'd like to do is get from her. She had mentioned about doing an additional inventory and getting a recommendation on where the next area would be that we want to move into. However, any major work would probably have to wait until the next fiscal year. We did, as we probably remember, the last RFP that involved the pruning and the tree risk assessment. We broke that up into 2 fiscal years. It was about 30,000 plus, and it was broken up into the 2020 and 2021, which is the current fiscal year that we're in now. So we definitely would have to get together with Mike Genito to see what kind of funding we have remaining and seeing what we can do, if anything, this year. And then if not, it might have to be deferred until next year.
Okay, because all I'm saying is, I got this email, and I'm sure you did too. If not, I'll forward it to you. I'll double check from Sandy Stead that had some recommendations and had some best practices, and that sort of thing. And I think she did.
Yeah,
I believe she did complete it.
Yeah.
But basically, I just want to make sure that if there is money remaining in this year's budget that ends, the fiscal year that ends on May 31st, that we utilize those funds that we've set aside for this work and do them. From what Sandy says, the work should be done in March before the spring actually begins. And that's why she was suggesting a timeline where you start putting an RFP out now, so that you can get bids back and evaluate them before the work needs to actually be done. If there's
I need to get out there and actually look. I know there are some trees that there's some trees we just really won't be able to do what she's asking, and then there's other areas that I need to look at and see what's involved. And I think she needs to send me that information, and I can assess it.
Okay,
I know she tried. Yeah, I know she tried. I don't remember seeing an email, and if she's bypassing me.
I don't think so.
I think you
she
need to
mentioned that-
send me the information. I can assess it.
I think she mentioned that she had forwarded you some stuff, but she didn't hear back. So I'll reach out to Sandy and have her forward everything back to you again so that we can get this taken care of in a timely fashion.
Yeah, and the other reminder is, we have a tree committee, and the tree committee is that it's a committee. It's just not one person. So we need to get the recommendation from the committee and not just from one person. So that's another.
Charles, she is the chair of the committee, and I think when she's providing information, she's doing so as the chair of that committee, based on what the committee has determined.
Yeah.
I don't think she's feeding
Well,
opinions in. But anyway,
Okay.
let's move on.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it. Absolutely.
Okay, I'll make sure she re-forwards everything to you. My other concern involves the shooting range and the noise. And I spoke briefly with Mr. Magrino, and I'm hoping that you can talk a little bit about some of the obstacles here so that we can address this perhaps moving forward.
Yes, based upon what you brought up a little while ago, we looked into it a little further to see what the situation was there. It turns out that the property is actually owned by the state of New Jersey, which, again, I don't think was something that everybody was aware of. We did have a meeting today. I met with the police chief, building department, mayor, to go over a few things, some related to zoning, some related just to noise ordinance in general. Assuming for a moment, we have some anecdotal evidence of, how long the shooting range has been there and what the zoning is, but even assuming it's some type of pre-existing non-conforming, which I'm not saying it is, you still have noise issues. It does, you can't necessarily cause a disturbance. So we're looking into that. I believe the chief is on, but I think that's something that still has to be looked at in terms of whether or not it meets, the level of a violation. Because frankly, at least what we have in the code is somewhat subjective in terms of what constitutes a noise disturbance. But it is something we're still looking into. We're a lot further along, at least knowing the facts. When this first came up, we really weren't sure, who owned the actual property, who was running it. So we have a little more information on that, which is helpful. But in terms of where we go from here, I think we need to look at it further. The chief, I know, is speaking to the Rampo, I believe it's called the Rampo Sportsman's Club or Sportsman Association that runs there. So I know he's been in touch with them. I know the police department does use it for training. So again, I think we're going to have continued meetings on that and see kind of where it goes, if there's some maybe measures that can be taken to help mitigate some of the noise there.
My personal preference, if it's possible, let me just finish and then you can go, Joe. My personal preference, if this is possible, two things would be, number one, to see if we have anything on file, because we might already, in terms of the hours of operation, so it's not too early in the morning or too late at night where it's interrupting people's dinners. And also if there's any opportunity for any kind of sound mitigation, those would be ideal.
Right. So Steve, to piggyback off that, back in the day when I looked into this, the problem with changing the hours was when it wasn't during dinner hour or late in the evening or early in the morning, it was when the children were at the baseball field. So that was more disturbing to most parents than it was when everybody was home safe and sound. So that was already established. When we did the remediation of the hazmat down there, I want to say, don't quote me, but probably 7 years ago, the gun club at the time had promised, while that mitigation was going on, because we cleaned that whole site out. Well, we didn't, P&G did it.
There was a service center of some sort that was there before, right? That was taken down.
No, it was always a gun club.
I thought there was also something in front of it.
Oh, no. It was a oil tank.
Yeah. Okay.
Back in the day, and then back
Right, no,
way
I
in the
remember
day.
the building. I
Right,
remember the
that's why they needed to do the mitigation on the ground.
Right.
So the gun club at the time had promised that they were going to be putting in soundproofing and had made that commitment. However, I think the gun club may have been sold in between there and then, Rob. So my timelines might be a little bit off, but the previous gun club, if it did actually change hands, had promised that that would be a pre-existing condition for the sale. Lord knows if that ever happened, because I was then not on the board any longer and couldn't follow through. So that's just a little history.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean that the sound would be a pre-existing condition. You mean back to what it was?
No, making sure that they did the sound mitigation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'd defer if the chief is still on. I know he's had some contact with them, so he'd know better than I.
Yeah, so I had spoken to the president of the Round Pole Sportsman Association. I know within the last year, they had done quite a bit of work to the range, the backstops. They had put soundproofing up along the walls. He had indicated to me that they had also extended, I don't know if you guys are familiar, if you've ever actually been down there. The range is open on the top, but there's a roof that comes out, you know, maybe halfway. They've extended that roofing quite a bit more. He has indicated to me that they had plans to soundproof the addition to the roof that they had put on. It got held up because they were having problems getting material due to COVID. So what he had indicated to me is they already had plans to soundproof the roof part of it, but it likely will not be done until the spring at this point because of the winter and the fact that they couldn't get the materials. But he indicated to me that they did do soundproofing along the walls and that they plan on continuing it on the roof, which they're hoping is going to mitigate some of the sound.
So, Rob, what I ask you is it the same owner, or did they ever wind up selling it? Can you look into that for me? I know you don't have the answer right now.
From what I understand, God, I'm sorry, Rob, go ahead.
Oh, no, I believe the owner is the state of New Jersey. That's what it shows on the map. I think that they're the owner, but my understanding is the association has some type of agreement with them, either rents or.
No. But did about 8 years or so ago, did they change hands with a new owner?
You mean the Sportsmen's Association?
Correct.
I don't know. That's something the chief may know, or I don't know.
I believe when I had spoken to the president, he had told me that up until the range apparently has been there since the 1930s.
Yes.
From the 30s to the 60s, it was run by the Round Pole Revolvers Club, I believe it was called. In the 60s, it changed hands to what's now the Round Pole Sportsmen's Association. So I'm not aware of any sale 7 or 8 years ago. I can follow up with that, but I'm not aware of any sale.
Can you let me know, because I still have the original person's number that I spoke to 8 years ago. Thank you.
I had called the president of the Sportsman's Club and he invited me on a tour. And from my understanding of our conversation, the hours of shooting are from 10 in the morning. And then the last availability to pick up the key from the police department to unlock the door and go in is at 6 o'clock at night. And then you can shoot, I believe, up until 8 o'clock before you have to leave.
So we changed some of their timelines so that when the kids were down at the ballpark and, you know, Allentown, Pennsylvania, not Allentown, the Pennsylvania shooting had happened, and they did accommodate us and changed the times of when they were shooting, because it was a tad bit unnerving with all the kids on the playing field when, you know, that shooting had just happened. So
wouldn't kids be playing from 10 in the morning till 8 at night?
At the rec field in the summer, yes.
Because that's when they shoot.
No, but they had made accommodations not to do it then. That's why they have the later during dinner. They were very accommodating, I will say. So, you know, not shooting during dinner, children aren't necessarily on the field. So it was a fine line on what to do. And they didn't just go, and I just think a conversation needs to be happened. Once again, just to just to be sensitive to everyone's needs. So when I worked with them in the past, they did well.
I have a question regarding the key. I was, Charles mentioned that the police have the key and that people need to get the key from the police in order to go shoot. So are we somehow involved in scheduling or knowing who's supposed to pick up a key? Are we paid as a village for this service that we are clearly providing the Sportsmen Association?
No, we're not. We basically keep a book. So they added a new key card system. All their members have digital key cards, but in order to actually get into the facility, there's a locked gate, which we have the key to. To my knowledge, we're not paid for it. The members sign, they have their own book at our desk that they sign the key in and out of, I believe, just for tracking purposes. It's been like that as long as I've worked here, so I don't know what the history is of that. But to my knowledge, no, we're not paid for it, or there's no, there's nothing given back to the village for that.
I just feel like there's this service it's essentially that we're providing to an age, an organization, actually is the word I mean, to an organization, that a lot of neighbors are not happy with. I don't think that's great, a great thing for the public, but that's my own opinion. But be that as it may, I think if we're going to be providing services with this key, I think there should be something that the Sportsmen Association does for Suffern in return, which may include proper soundproofing. I think that we should, see what can be done to make it not noisy for the local residents who live in the West Ward very close to there. I mean,
They promised it years ago, Steve. You're not wrong.
No, I understand. I'm just bringing this up again because we've had complaints lately, and I think it needs to be addressed and followed up on. That's all. Thank you. That's all I've got. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Yeah, if I could go, Chief Andy, while we have you, I forgot to ask when it was your turn. Could you give us an update on how on the staff with the COVID situation and the coming out of the meeting from the 20th and where your staff is?
So we had one member that received a positive COVID test. We had made arrangements with Good Samaritan Hospital to make testing available for our members. Most of the department, it was voluntary. Obviously, most of the department went and got the testing. We had one more member come up positive on a rapid test. He is
before we go further on this, and I'll defer to Richard on this. This may be more appropriate for a executive session because if you're revealing items related to medical histories, et cetera, of the department, that might be more appropriate for an executive session.
Agreed.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not trying to keep it from the public. It's just that the officers have rights involved and
Sure.
As a general matter, if Chief, you want to address just that the department is functioning properly and not impacted and taking appropriate measures, obviously that's okay. But
I wasn't going to go into any individual. I wasn't going to go into any detail as far as names and stuff like that. So basically, we've only had the officer that was positive, and we had, as I was starting to say, one more officer tested positive on a rapid test. He since tested negative, never became symptomatic. We've had no other positive tests since then. So everything operationally here is fine.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank goodness.
Okay. Anybody else?
I had in the past asked if a 15-minute parking spot could be put on Lafayette Avenue in between Java Love and the corner where Orange Avenue is, there's no 15-minute spots in that section. I'd like to have one put in the middle of that block near where Suffern Food Mart is. Is that something that the board could vote on at the next meeting and have a 15-minute spot sign installed?
That I believe would have to go to a public hearing.
Right, yeah, we'd have to do a local law. It's not, the next meeting is too soon, but we could do it at the January meeting.
January.
All right, so I'd like to get the ball rolling on that.
Okay, and again, we're here, but I think we should get the input from the chief and the parking authority, well, at least the chief in terms of, whether there's any issues with that or, DPW, anybody who wants to chime in.
Okay, we'll discuss that. Chief, we'll take a look at that, the 15-minute on Lafayette from Chestnut to Orange on the north side.
Charles, you're just
Thank you.
looking for one spot, is that
I'm
correct?
looking to put one in.
And just so I understand myself, is this just for like local shoppers that just need to run into a local store on that strip and run
Right.
out?
So that, if you want a lottery ticket or something
Okay.
and all the spots are full, that merchant loses the business. If there's a 15-minute spot, the turnover would be much greater and people would be able to frequent the shop for a very brief moment in time.
That makes sense.
And we have unfinished work to do on the whole parking situation, the entire CBD. So that's something I think everybody has to pick up again and finish. So it's just a matter of evaluating, if this makes sense to add as a modification to that. But that's still.
We'll take another look at it. It's about reviewing it, analyzing it, manpower requirements. But if we're going to be selective on one spot, a 15-minute spot here, we could pose it to the board and bring it before a public hearing and see, get the input from the chief, just as the attorney said, and move forward. But at the same time, analyze all parking in the downtown business district.
Thank you.
Where does that actually stand, Mayor? I know that the village clerk had worked up a large map of parking spots that included handicap spots and different time limit spots. And then it seemed to drop about, I don't know, 8 months ago, it just dropped. We never heard
Well,
of it.
some of them were implemented, some of them were changed, some of them were modified, so it wasn't totally dropped. We did have parking. We did have someone that was working in parking, working on it and developing it, at which time now she does no longer work in the parking department. So that is something that we could pick up on. And,
I also, Steve, worked with Jeremy and also Joe Hunt, and then COVID hit. So that kind of 8 months ago sort of took a sidebar.
COVID put a wallop in everything.
Yes, of course.
So there's a lot of notes that we could all get together, but we'll do that a little bit down the road.
Okay, anyone else? Good, all right.
Mayor's update.
Okay, so what I have here is an authorization to continue the consulting agreement with Christine Anderson for an approximately 2-month period until the vacant position of assistant court clerk is filled. Due to the backlog, due to COVID-19 and the backlog and the closure of the court, we were really inundated, and with the lack of the court clerk, the absence of the court clerk and the absence of the assistant court clerk, we do need additional help in there until we have the assistant court clerk position filled or a data entry operator position filled in the court. So that I would be looking for. I would like to make that addendum to the consulting agreement tonight. Do you have it? Richard, do you have the agreement?
Hello,
Hello,
can you hear me?
We hear you, Richard.
very low.
The agreement was prepared and forwarded to you this afternoon.
Yes.
I am not in my office, so I do not have it with me.
Okay.
Would you like
Oh,
me to tell you what it says?
No, I have a copy of it. If the board is so inclined to entertain it tonight, I would like it to be passed tonight so that we can move forward with the court and the operation. So if you would like me to read the addendum drafted by the Labor Council, this letter addendum, subject to the approval by the Board of Trustees, will serve to modify paragraph 2 of our existing consulting agreement dated November 9th, 2020, and will extend your rendering consulting services for the Village Justice Court as an independent contractor at the previously agreed rate of compensation beyond the original 4-week period as follows. Time and duration of consulting services. You agree to provide consulting services as requested by and mutually agreed upon with the Chief Clerk of the Suffern Justice Court. It is anticipated that your service will continue until at least the village is filling the position of Assistant Court Clerk. In all other respects, the terms and conditions of the consulting agreement dated November 9th remain in full force and effect. Assuming that you are in agreement with the foregoing modifications, please sign and date the bottom of this addendum. So I believe it's a critical aspect to the court to continue that consulting agreement beyond its time if the board is so inclined to do so.
Well, what would have been better, Ed, is if when you got it this afternoon, you had passed it along to us so that we could read it and understand it. But I understand it's an important piece of information.
Okay.
You know, once again,
How does
If
the
it
board
came
feel
from
about
Richard,
that?
I'm confident in it is well done, and I'm ready to vote yes on it.
oh, I don't disagree, Charles, by any stretch of the imagination. However, it would have been nice to be able to read it and not hear it.
I agree.
But
I think the mayor needs to do a much better job communicating with the board. To all the public that are watching this meeting, as the mayor laughs and mocks me,
Yes.
I don't know why he does that. He's a very insulting person that way. When he does that, the mayor tends to keep everything very close to his chest. And I think the mayor needs to do a much better job of sharing information with the board, because it is the board's job to vote on that information. And we generally do not have the opportunity to review that information ahead of time because the mayor chooses to sit on it. So instead, here's my next suggestion. I would like to have a resolution right now that any material that the attorney sends to the mayor be also sent to the board simultaneously. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Richard,
Okay.
do you have a problem with that?
Mr. Glickel, this involves you
and Rob Magrino.
and Mr. Magrino.
Yeah, I don't know.
Richard, we lost your audio if you're trying to respond.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
I would like the attorneys to provide the village board with the same materials that they provide to the mayor so that there's not this delay where the board does not receive information until the meeting itself, because it's pretty unacceptable that we don't have the material to review ahead of time. And I have already made a motion and had a second, and we are in discussion at this point. Do you think that this is a worthwhile plan? I don't want to do something if it's illegal.
I think it depends on what it is.
I'm not talking about confidential material. I'm talking about material that pertains to village business that the board would be voting on. I think should be provided simultaneously to the board as well as the mayor. Do you see any legal
No, I
ramifications?
don't. No, I don't.
Okay, so we have.
If I could just be heard, yeah, to answer your question, it's not illegal to do it. As a practical matter, does it make it difficult? I think, I don't mean to speak for Richard. I think sometimes it's easy. We send it, maybe to the mayor and, so that it's not in a way overburdening everyone with some things that may be minor. But to address your issue, I don't know if it requires a resolution. What I would suggest is Richard and I are both on this call. We hear what you're saying. You know, items that we expect to be voted upon, you know, I don't know that if I do or do not send it, you know, everything to the board. Often I do. Sometimes we don't. I think just it's a matter of convenience. You know, it's easier to send it to the mayor. This is something that's going to be on.
Right.
You know, he's kind of running the board meeting, if you will. I think I hear what you're saying. If on a matter that we're asking to be voted upon, if you're asking me to include the board, I have no problem doing that. I'd prefer not to have a resolution requiring it in case, you know, we miss it or something. But, you know, I could, if I'm asking for something to be put on the board for consideration, I have no problem including the whole board.
There's been a trend. I've been on this board a little over 2 years. Well, actually not a little over 2 years. It's just 2 years now. And the trend is that the board is not kept in the loop until the meeting itself. And I have a real problem with that because I cannot make an educated decision if I'm thinking on the spot and making a decision. And therefore, I think it's very urgently important, since the mayor cannot be relied upon to provide information to the board in a timely fashion, which has been something I've experienced for 2 years. I think it needs to be a resolution so that it happens in the future. Is the board willing to vote on this? We have, like I said, I made a motion and we had a second.
Well, if we can just get a commitment, I mean, we have to have a resolution actually written out. You just can't do a resolution without writing it. Am I wrong?
Good point.
So if we get the attorneys to agree, then I think that that's strong enough. And if something should go wrong from there, then that's what we do from there.
I would point out something else. This, unfortunately, is a especially bad example of what could probably have been distributed to the board. And the reason why I say that is because it came up to me rapidly today. And so what was submitted, what I drafted and sent to the mayor was a proposed addendum, assuming that Rob or anyone else like Mike Genito didn't have any questions with regard to it, then it would have been in final form, at which point it probably would have been appropriate to submit it to the board. I had no inkling that it would come up at this workshop this evening. So that's why I say, although Steve's suggestion or request that the board be kept in the loop with respect to things that they're going to be asked to pass upon in advance of receiving it is a very good idea. In this particular instance, this is unfortunately not a very good example. So other than that, I agree with Rob. I don't think it requires a resolution. I think I see it more as a matter of practice with regard to keeping the Board of Trustees informed in advance, especially in advance if they're going to be asked to look over something so that they might have questions with the document in front of them. And that's it.
I agree with Richard, and I feel that this is something that needs to happen this evening so that therefore the court can go forward. Is that correct, Ed?
We can do it on Monday. We can do it nunc pro tunc on Monday. I'll distribute the addendum, and we'll do it nunc pro tunc on Monday.
And it's not going to impede the court by any means?
Not at all. Matter of fact, that's why it said it wasn't necessary to be passing on it this evening. What you have in place, is an agreement with the independent contractor that was intended to have a duration of 4 weeks from, I forget the exact date, it might have been November 20th, November 10th, I think. Okay, so we're well within the initial time frame. What this does is it amends that time frame to allow for that independent contractor to continue to render her services within the office of the Justice Court Clerk
I understand.
until such time as that assistant's position has been filled. And
Perfect.
the verbiage is pretty simple. Keeping her hours somewhat flexible, but also within the needs of the chief clerk, they'll agree on how many hours she'll be there and so on and so forth.
That would have been so much easier if we got an email today. All right, so next.
Well, I just, on that general point, forgetting about the court clerk position, but just in general, I mean, Ed, you're hearing this feedback. Is there anything that you see that you could do to help improve this communication flow?
Yes, absolutely. And it's a good question that you asked that, since that I was badgered by Trustee Alpert and mocking him, is that the majority of this board does not even pick up the phone to call me to ask for an update, except for Mr. Barone, who calls me weekly, and which I update him weekly. And also, to that point, to the concerns of the village, I have not seen any of you at events hosted by this village. We need, you're right, you are right, Paul. We need communication, but communication works both ways. That is communication, picking up the telephone, sending emails, inquiring, showing pure interest in what goes on in and around this village on a daily basis. That
I
is
do that
concerns that
all the time.
Mayor, I was at
all the
Veterans
time.
Day.
I doubt it, but go ahead.
I was at
You
the
are
Veterans
just-
Day event. I was at the Veterans Day event. I was also at the 9/11 morning memorial event. So please don't tell me that I don't go to the events.
The best part, the best part,
Of the events are
the-
not attended by the trustees. And
the best part
trustees
about that,
the trustees do not come into the village. I can count on my fingers how many times I was approached in Village Hall to discuss. I know that Mr.
first of
Barone
all,
tells me
Village
he
Hall
does come
is
into the office.
closed. Village Hall is closed, and it has been quite clear that we are not allowed to be there. And every event that happens in this village, Ed, has been your show. No one was invited to speak at September 11th, like all the years past, where every trustee has had a part in September 11th.
You were all part of
No,
the board. When
you did
showed
not reach out to one person on this board ever.
Well,
If we don't call you, no.
communicate
I
properly.
am speaking in your
need to
terms, Ed.
communicate
I am
properly.
speaking and you shall wait. So therefore, you say that we don't call you. The only time you call us is when you want us to vote your way. And nor do you ever call your board to say, hey, what are you thinking? Well, how do you feel about this? Well, we don't know, because we have to call all the department heads to get the story about the
You
village.
should be calling the mayor's office and getting a response. That's what you should be.
As the mayor,
Right.
you're
That's
you're
what you
not,
should be
you are
doing.
not King Ed,
Trustee
and you
Corrigan.
should be, no, I am not done speaking, as you say. So I'm going to use your words against me,
Go ahead.
against
You-
yourself. So you are not King Ed, and as the mayor, you are to report to us on things that you see, because you are in Village Hall all the time. So there you go. You know,
Thank
it's
you.
a two-way street, and you
Thank
can't
you.
dismiss the board, Ed. It's
No,
wrong.
I'm just asking for participation from the board, which I don't see for the last 2 years. And as I said, with the exception of Mr. Barone.
Well, I guess he's a superstar.
Thank you. Okay.
Ed, again, I mean, Again, anytime we ask for your response on feedback, it's a deflection.
so ridiculous.
It's just never, there's never a humble moment that is exuded from you with any feedback, whether it's a resident or a board member. You are the only person on this board that does not work full time. You have plenty of discretionary time that you can choose to keep the board informed, and instead you are wheeling and dealing and conniving ways to circumvent the board. It's just
Dealing and dealing and conniving ways. Thank you. Thank you for your outgoing,
talking.
Mr. Girard.
The energy that you put into non-productive activities is, I mean, I'm not going to miss it, but at the same time, you haven't seen the last of me.
Oh, thank you. Okay, motion to enter into an executive session.
Motion.
Trustee
Second,
Alpert.
Trustee Barone.
Trustee Barone on the second. All right, thank you. See you on the other side. Do we have everyone?
I do believe so.
Wow, we still have 17 people hanging on to this village Zoom.
Great.
Hello, thank you for zooming in with us.
Yes.
Okay, so there was no actions or action going to be taken. I'd like a motion to close the meeting.
Motion, trustee Alpert.
Trustee.
Second,
Excuse
Trustee
me, I'm
Barone.
sorry. That was a motion to exit
Adjourn.
executive session.
Exit executive session. Yes, motion. Sure.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Alpert. Second by,
Trustee Barone.
okay,
Paul, you're on.
What's that?
and a motion to close the meeting.
Before I do, let me thank Paul one more time.
I think Paul should motion this close, actually.
I do as well, because he has been an outstanding trustee, and I am so going to miss him on this board. He has been amazing beyond the words of comprehension. Thank you, Paul, for everything you've done.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks to all of you. I appreciate it. And like I said, I won't be a stranger. Motion to end the workshop.
Second.
Second. We all second at once. Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Aye. Thank you, Paul.
Good night.
Paul.
Good night, everybody.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Paul.